Greetings, Judah. DFG here, Gideon's Flight. Hey, guys. Just want to follow up with you on something that I spoke about probably middle part of last year. And some of you may want to know this. If you receive stimulus money, one or two stimulus checks in 2020, uh, check your mail. There is a possibility that the IRS will be sending you a letter. That letter is going to inform you that for whatever reason, okay, they have decided to review whether or not you actually qualify for any of those credits that you received and that you, I guess, again, that you qualify. Praise Yah. You qualify. It's not funny what I'm about to say, but it's funny that I couldn't get that word. But they have gone in and they have reviewed everyone who received one or both of those checks. And now they're looking at, based off of your income from last year. Now, they didn't tell you this when you qualified for the stimulus money. But now they've gone back and now they're reviewing your tax information from 2020. And guess what? They are now fining people. Fine, F-I-N-E, fining you. And they're making sure that you understand that they want the money back. So if you had teenage kids and things like that, and you say, okay, well, it says if I have 2 kids, I can get $1,000 per kid or $2,000, whatever that number might be. Well, now they're saying, well, not really. And if you remember, guys, I told you all back, I mentioned to you that the devil, Satan, reincarnated, that empty shell of a body, Joe Biden, was going to pull some of the most cunning, craftiest things you ever could see to harm poor people. In particular, so-called black people, because we are the poorest. And now they're going to go back and they're going to start garnishing your money. They're going to start penalizing you. And anything else they can do to you to put you in debtor's prison. Some of you listened and you didn't take the money. Others you listened, you took the money, but you didn't spend the money. And then some of you just ignored it altogether, like myself. Because you knew it was a snare, it was a trap. And that's what it's going to turn out to be for a lot of our family members, some of you. And I bring that forward to you again to remind you, do not listen to these evil, wicked people who are in positions, who have been set in position of power to take advantage of you. At some point, you're going to have to understand, my brothers and my sisters, and this, I say this out of love, there are no free lunches. The Messiah, Yeshua, said, if a man does not work, he does not eat. And for whatever reason, we have become the borrowers of the world. I'm talking about here in so-called, America. We have become, unfortunately, the country's beggar class. Proportionally, I'm speaking. Proportionally, not all of us. Many of you go out every day and you work hard to take care of yourself, your families, your responsibilities. And you should, rightfully so. But there's also a percentage of us who really believe that this government has their best interest in mind, and all they have to do is comply to whatever incentive that this government puts out there, and they'll be able to be, rewarded for it. Many of our people right now are sitting at home collecting unemployment because they were told you can make more money at home than you can make going to work. Well, for right now, that is true. But what's going to happen when they go back in 2021 and start reviewing all those applications? If you've been getting unemployment, then every week you have to fill out something saying you were looking for a job. How many of the people that you know, so maybe some of you, do you realize that at some point they're going to go back and they're going to review that information? Because that information that you submitted, that is a government document. If you say you're looking for a job, but you weren't, or you applied for jobs, but you never showed up for the interviews, they're going to find that out as well. And see all of that unemployment money that you've been receiving? Oh yeah, they're going to come back to collect it. That's those 87,000 IRS agents, auditors that Biden slipped into his annual budget to ensure that they come looking for you, that you get your letter. Just like you want to make sure you got your check, then understand, they're going to make sure you got your letter to go along with that check. And if some of you might be saying, or some of them out there that you know might be saying, well, I don't have no money, what they going to do? They can't make me pay it back if I don't have it. Well, they can't make you pay it back in terms of revenue, but they can make you pay it back in terms of incarceration. Yeah, jail, FEMA camps. They can come and arrest you for it. I know many of you don't believe that can happen, but that's only because you probably are not up to date on world history. If you go back to I'll give you an example, 1930s Germany, late 1930s Germany. You ever heard of the concentration camps? The people in the ghettos were put on trains and sent to concentration camps by the government. Of course you don't know that, but maybe you should. Do you know anything about the late 1800s? When the Native Americans, not the $5 Indian, the Native Americans, those who were copper colored, like many of us. Remember those who were ran out of their lands because of treaty issues? The government said, hey, we're going to give you this, and they took it. Then the government turned back around and said, well, you didn't give us enough, or, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Therefore, now you need to leave and go to these reservations that we have set aside for you. And if you don't go, we're going to send the military after you. Remember the Trail of Tears? You don't remember that? Well, there's an old saying that those who forget the past are doomed to repeat it. Some of our brothers and sisters are going to be repeating those past. And it's going to be government mandate that you recompensate them one way or the other. And I'll be honest with you. I love you enough to tell you the truth. You have no one to blame but yourselves if you fall into that, or if you fell for that trap. Because we tried to tell you. Elohim put the Ruach in us to warn you. Cry aloud, lift up our voice to tell you about the wickedness of Satan. If you go to, just follow me real quick. Let me, for you believers out there, the Christian, if you still use that title to identify your walk before Elohim, if you still use that, then you should have studied the word. You should read our history book, many of you call the Bible. Well, if you were studying the Bible, you would know that Satan has always set these kind of snares, traps. Yeshua told us to be careful that we be not deceived by Satan. But also, if you had just read one of the epistle letters, let's take the one from Paul to the church at Corinth, or to the believers, not a building, but to the believers at Corinth. This is what he said to them. Go to 2 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 11. This is what it reads. It says, lest Satan should get advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. What does that mean? I'll read it to you again. Lest Satan should get advantage of you, for you should not be ignorant of his devices. In essence, you should know better. If you're studying the book and you're a believer, you should have known that they were not giving you something for nothing, because they were concerned about, your well-being and the well-being of your children. And many of you, I remember it, they were telling you, file for the, you can file for those exemptions if you had teenage children or children at all. And now they're coming back saying, well, that all depends on how much money you made. And many of you thought, hey, I can be crafty. I can outfox the wolf, the government wolves. The wolves in sheep's clothing. Well, you can't. Well, you can if you have the Rahook, because the Rahook would have told you, just say no to Satan. Resist the devil. Well, this time the government devil is coming. And just like you were expecting that stimulus check in your mailbox, keep an eye on your mailbox, because you'll be getting a letter saying that you better lawyer up. I'm quoting this. They're saying you better get you a tax lawyer, like you can afford a tax lawyer. Or be prepared to have everything that you have taken away from you until you pay back that debt, including your freedom, if it comes to that. Now, that's a lesson that you should never forget. That's a lesson you should teach your children, to never forget. And remember, our adversary, Satan. And remember, Satan comes in the form of a man. He's clever. He can be a female. He can disguise himself as a female or a male. Doesn't matter. He has many faces. You can really call him transgender. He could be a male or he could be a female. But the one thing that he's always going to be, you can bet on it. He's going to entrap you. That's why he offered Yeshua, Matthew chapter 4. Say, if you bow down and worship me, I'll give you anything that you want. You accept my mandates. Y'all know the mandates, right? What is being mandated? If you accept my mandates, I'll give you whatever your heart desire. But like the Grim Reaper, remember Rumpelstiltskin? How many of you guys remember the story of Rumpelstiltskin? Making deals with the devil. And the day comes when you got to ante up. Now, obviously, the princess ended up outfoxing Rumpelstiltskin in the end. But remember, that's the spirit of the letter. It's still here on the land. And if you don't wake up, Judah, you're going to pay the ultimate price with your freedom. And if you're not careful, by participating in some of these mandates, y'all know what I'm talking about. Remember, we can't always say what we know. Your life. Lest Satan take advantage of you, because we need to be aware of his or her wickedness or evil devices. DFG, keep an eye on your mailbox, some of you. But those of you who listened, who took heed, when you heard the word, praise Yah. Continue on, my good sister and brothers. DFG, talk to you later. Bye now.